For most of Earth's early history, the planet was not a place where humans, animals, or plants could survive. The air did not contain breathable oxygen in the way it does today, and the oceans were chemically very different from modern seas. Life existed, but it was microscopic, ancient, and adapted to a world that would seem hostile to us. Then a group of bacteria began doing something extraordinary. They captured sunlight, used it to split water, and released oxygen as a waste product. Those bacteria were cyanobacteria. They were tiny, but over billions of years, their activity changed the atmosphere, altered the chemistry of the oceans, and helped create the conditions for complex life. In a very real sense, the world we breathe today was shaped by microscopic organisms that did not know they were transforming a planet. Cyanobacteria are often called blue-green algae, but that name is only informal. Biologically, they are bacteria, not algae. They are prokaryotes, meaning their cells do not have a nucleus like the cells of animals, plants, fungi, or algae. Their bluish-green color comes from pigments that absorb sunlight and reflect certain wavelengths back to our eyes. These pigments are not just cosmetic. They are part of the machinery that allows cyanobacteria to make their own food. Cyanobacteria are autotrophs, which means they can build organic molecules from carbon dioxide rather than depending on other organisms for food. That ability made them extremely successful. They could spread into sunlit environments and use energy that was freely available from the sky. Their simplicity did not limit their importance. It made their planetary impact possible. The key process behind their influence is oxygenic photosynthesis. In this process, cyanobacteria use pigments such as chlorophyll, carotenoids, and phycobilins to capture light energy. That energy drives chemical reactions that split water molecules into hydrogen ions, electrons, and oxygen. The hydrogen and electrons help convert carbon dioxide into organic compounds, including carbohydrates that the cell can use for growth and energy storage. Oxygen is released as a byproduct. This may sound familiar because plants also release oxygen through photosynthesis, but cyanobacteria were doing it long before forests existed. They were among the first known organisms to produce oxygen in this way. What began as microbial metabolism eventually became one of the most important chemical revolutions in Earth history. At first, the oxygen produced by cyanobacteria did not simply fill the atmosphere. Early Earth contained many substances that reacted with oxygen almost immediately. Iron dissolved in ancient oceans, minerals on land, and other chemical compounds acted like oxygen sinks. Whenever oxygen appeared, much of it was consumed by reactions. One visible result was the oxidation of iron, essentially a planetary rusting process recorded in ancient rocks. But cyanobacteria kept producing oxygen generation after generation. Over immense spans of time, the chemical sinks became overwhelmed. Oxygen began accumulating in the oceans and atmosphere. This transition is known as the Great Oxidation Event. It was not a single instant, but a vast planetary shift in which the waste gas of microbes changed the rules for every organism on Earth. The rise of oxygen was both creative and destructive. For many early microbes, oxygen was dangerous because it is chemically reactive and can damage cellular components. Organisms that evolved in oxygen-free environments suddenly faced a toxic new condition spreading through parts of the planet. Some survived by retreating into oxygen-poor habitats, such as sediments, deep waters, or protected microbial environments. Others evolved defenses against oxygen damage. A few lineages learned to use oxygen to extract more energy from food molecules. That was a major evolutionary advantage. Oxygen-based metabolism can release much more usable energy than many anaerobic pathways. So the oxygenation of Earth did not simply add a new gas to the air. It created an energy opportunity that helped life become more complex. This new oxygen-rich world helped set the stage for eukaryotic cells, the more complex cells that eventually gave rise to animals, plants, fungi, and many single-celled organisms. One major step in that story was endosymbiosis. This happens when one organism lives inside another and, over evolutionary time, becomes a permanent partner rather than prey. Early eukaryotic ancestors likely formed partnerships with bacteria that could use oxygen efficiently, leading to mitochondria. Later, another partnership involved a photosynthetic cyanobacterium. Instead of being digested, that cyanobacterium remained inside a host cell and gradually became a chloroplast. Chloroplasts are the organelles that allow plants and algae to perform photosynthesis. Every green leaf therefore carries a deep evolutionary memory of cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria are bacterial cells, but they have internal organization that makes them especially interesting. Their photosynthesis occurs on internal membranes called thylakoids. These flattened sacs provide surfaces where light-capturing pigments and electron transport machinery can be arranged efficiently. In plants and algae, photosynthesis also happens in thylakoid membranes inside chloroplasts. That similarity is not a coincidence. Chloroplasts are descended from cyanobacteria, and their internal architecture reflects that ancestry. Cyanobacteria therefore connect two worlds of biology. On one side, they are ancient bacteria with no nucleus. On the other, they are the ancestors of the photosynthetic structures that power plant life. Their cells show how bacterial innovation became the foundation for much of the living green world. Cyanobacteria likely originated very early, in freshwater or terrestrial environments, and appeared by the Middle Archean Eon. That means they have been part of Earth's story for billions of years. Their long survival is not accidental. They are incredibly adaptable. Cyanobacteria can live in oceans, lakes, soils, rocks, hot springs, and harsh environments where many organisms struggle. Some exist as single cells. Others form colonies, mats, or filaments. In microbial mats, layers of cells can create entire miniature ecosystems, trapping sediment, recycling nutrients, and shaping local chemistry. Their abundance over geological time is hard to comprehend. Some scientists consider cyanobacteria among the most numerous organisms ever to exist. Their power comes not from size, but from persistence, reproduction, and chemistry repeated across deep time. Today, cyanobacteria remain vital parts of ecosystems. In oceans and freshwater systems, they contribute to primary production, meaning they create organic matter from sunlight and carbon dioxide at the base of food webs. Many organisms indirectly depend on this process. Some cyanobacteria also help with nitrogen fixation, converting atmospheric nitrogen into forms that other life can use. That makes them important players in both carbon and nitrogen cycles. In balanced ecosystems, cyanobacteria are not villains. They are producers, recyclers, and chemical engineers. But their success can become a problem when environmental conditions change. Warm temperatures, still water, and excess nutrients from fertilizer runoff, wastewater, or pollution can allow them to multiply rapidly. When that happens, cyanobacteria can form dense blooms that disrupt aquatic environments. A cyanobacterial bloom can look like green paint, scum, or cloudy discoloration on the surface of water. The visual effect is only part of the problem. Blooms can block sunlight from reaching other aquatic plants and microorganisms. When the bloom dies and decomposes, bacteria breaking it down can consume oxygen in the water, stressing or killing fish and other animals. Some blooms also produce unpleasant tastes and odors. The deeper issue is that not all blooms are harmless. Certain cyanobacteria produce cyanotoxins, a group of compounds that can harm humans and animals. These toxins are not produced by every species or every bloom, but when they are present, they can turn a lake, pond, or reservoir into a serious public health concern. Cyanotoxins can affect the liver, nervous system, skin, or digestive system, depending on the compound involved and the level of exposure. People may be exposed through drinking contaminated water, swimming in affected areas, inhaling droplets near blooms, or eating contaminated aquatic organisms in some settings. Pets and livestock are often at particular risk because they may drink directly from contaminated water or lick bloom material from their fur. This is why public health warnings sometimes tell people to avoid contact with suspicious green or blue-green water. Cyanobacteria are therefore a reminder that natural does not always mean safe. The same broad group of organisms that helped oxygenate Earth can also create local hazards when ecological conditions allow blooms to grow out of balance. At the same time, cyanobacteria are valuable tools for science and biotechnology. Species such as Synechocystis and Cyanothes are used as model organisms because they help researchers study photosynthesis, metabolism, cell regulation, and microbial evolution. Their ability to grow using sunlight and carbon dioxide makes them attractive for sustainable production research. Scientists have explored cyanobacteria as sources of bioethanol, food colorings, dietary supplements, animal feed, and useful raw materials. The basic idea is powerful. If microbes can turn light and carbon dioxide into valuable compounds, they might help create cleaner production systems. But this is not automatic. Researchers still need to solve problems of efficiency, safety, contamination, cost, and large-scale reliability before many cyanobacterial technologies can become everyday industrial tools. The story of cyanobacteria is the story of small life producing enormous consequences. They began as microscopic organisms using sunlight to survive. Yet their metabolism changed the atmosphere, oxidized minerals, challenged early anaerobic life, enabled oxygen-based energy systems, and contributed to the evolution of complex cells. Their descendants live inside plant cells as chloroplasts, powering forests, crops, and algae. Their modern relatives support food webs, cycle nutrients, create harmful blooms, and inspire new biotechnology. Cyanobacteria show that Earth's greatest transformations are not always caused by dramatic events like asteroid impacts or volcanic eruptions. Sometimes they come from simple reactions repeated endlessly by tiny cells. Every breath connects us to that ancient microbial work: sunlight captured, water split, carbon fixed, and oxygen released into the world. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.